depending on our personal experiences, many of us may picture somebody who is volatile, who's yelling all the time, maybe throwing things, maybe even becoming physically violent when they think of a narcissist, and particularly when they think of narcissistic abuse. But this is not always the case. Some narcissists can remain quite calm all the time, and some narcissists can abuse their victims in a very calm and confusing manner. I'm going to make this video today about the calm narcissist so that if this is happening to you, you can have an easier time identifying it and clearing up the confusion that these types of narcissists can cause. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. Now, many of you, while watching this video, may want to apply the term covert narcissist to what I'm talking about. And maybe that's the right term. I've never liked using the term covert narcissist because honestly, I've always been confused by it. To me, all narcissists are covert narcissists at some point, at least while they're earning your trust or love bombing you or whatever. No narcissists are upfront and overt about who they really are, except for maybe the really, really mean ones. But I've always been confused by the term covert narcissist, and I don't like talking about things that I don't feel that I have a strong understanding of. So if any of you want to comment on what your ideas of a covert narcissist are in relation to what I'm going to talk about in this video, I think that would be great, and it might even help me understand the term a little bit better. So let's get into exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to go over several different ways that this type of narcissist can manipulate and abuse people while appearing to be the good guy or appearing to be the one under control. The first way that they do this that's very effective is with the silent treatment. And I did a whole video on the silent treatment. It's called The Silent Treatment is Emotional Abuse, I think is the name of the video. And by using the silent treatment, narcissists can sit there and do absolutely nothing while making their victims rack their brains wondering what they did wrong, walk on eggshells, feel nervous all night long for no real reason. A calm, collected narcissist will use the silent treatment just to do this, just to control their victims' emotions. And unless you understand what you're dealing with, this can be extremely confusing. When somebody that is supposed to love and care about you is sitting there looking angry and cross all night long, but won't tell you what's wrong, you can assume that they're upset about something, and they're probably upset about something you did. But in reality, a narcissist will often do this just to make you feel that way. You didn't actually do anything, but it's so unfathomable in that situation that this person that's supposed to love you is just messing with your head. It's just making you feel nervous and wonder what you did wrong, just to do that, just to make you feel that way. You didn't actually do anything, and they're just doing it to make themselves feel better, to make themselves feel like they're in control, and to maybe even do it for fun, just to mess with you. Now, when they're not using the silent treatment just for fun, they can be saying things to you that seem helpful, that seem like they're coming from a place of concern, when really these things are meant to make you question yourself, make you doubt your self-worth, make you feel like you're a failure, like a disappointment, or feel like you're not trying hard enough. These are the things that a narcissist will say to you under the guise of, I'm saying this because I care. So you can't really say anything back to these. You can't really get upset or try to defend yourself because they're saying it because they care about you. How are you going to get upset at somebody that's saying something because they care about you? Can't you take any constructive criticism? I mean, this person cares about you. Things like, I'm worried about you. I think maybe you need to lose some weight. I'm worried about the 10 pounds that you've put on over the holidays. Or maybe something more sinister like, I know that you would never want to hurt the kids on purpose, but I've noticed that you don't really spend as much time with them as you used to, and I can tell that it's really hurting them. Something like that, maybe in a situation where you've had to go back to work or increase your hours at work, or you're under some kind of stress, maybe because of something that they did. Or maybe they'll say something like, I've noticed you seem really stressed lately, or you seem so tired lately. I mean, the housework isn't really being kept up, or you look really tired, or I've noticed that you don't take as much time to dress as nicely as you used to, or you don't do your hair as nicely as you used to. You must be under a lot of stress. Maybe you should quit your job, if they're trying to pressure you into quitting your job, or just make you self-conscious, like, I look like I'm tired. I feel fine. I don't spend as much time on my clothes and hair. I didn't realize that I looked like such a wreck. Maybe you forget one thing and they say, I've noticed that you've been forgetting things lately. So this is all just ways of gaslighting you under the guise of caring about you. And how do you really fight this? It's really difficult, especially if this is coming from somebody that you trust. It's unthinkable that somebody that you trust and love and share your life with would say these kinds of things to you just to make you doubt yourself, just to tear you down, because they can seem so genuine and so caring about it. So this is a really powerful, sinister manipulation tool that a narcissist can use in a very calm way without ever raising their voice. Another way that a narcissist can hurt you without raising their voice is just to ignore you, to scowl, to not respond to you if you say, good morning, or, oh, how are you today? Or how was your day? They just ignore you. They look through you. They just make you feel uneasy. But it's not quite bad enough that you feel like you can really call them out on it. Like, maybe they just didn't hear me, or maybe they're just in a bad mood, or they just don't feel like saying good morning, or maybe I did something. Ignoring you is a great way to put you in your place and to give you this feeling of, I'll talk to you when I have time to talk to you, or I'll talk to you and acknowledge you when I feel like it. I'm more important than you are. So I'll say good morning back when I'm ready to. Another way that a narcissist can abuse you in a very calm, collected way is to express distrust or suspicion in you when you haven't done anything to earn that distrust or suspicion. I want to tell a quick story, and I usually like to keep these stories as vague as possible, but because of the specifics of the story, I have to get a little specific here. So this was about 15 years ago, I think. I was newly married. I'd only been married a few months, and I had a wedding ring, as you do. And this was a fairly expensive wedding ring. Not that it matters, but I guess it mattered to my husband. This was a fairly expensive wedding ring, and it had just snowed outside. And I had some of my younger in-laws, I think they were teenagers, and I can't remember, I think we were gonna go Christmas shopping or something. We were going to go somewhere, and I was gonna drive. So I went out into the driveway with a few of my teenage in-laws, and there was snow on the back window of my car. And so I just took my hand with the wedding ring on, and I put it on the top of the back window, and I just swept the snow off the back window. And when I swept the snow, of course, my ring flew off into the driveway, into the freshly laid snow. So we spent the next few hours, me and four other people, taking snow out of the driveway with buckets, melting the snow, looking for my ring, looking everywhere. And I was so frustrated and distraught because I knew, like, it's right there. I know exactly where it flew off, but we just could not find my ring. And I mean, it got to the point where I was crying. I was so frustrated, and it'd only been a few months that I had had this ring. And anybody out there that's lost a wedding ring knows how distressing that is. So I was really upset. But as time went on, one of the things I was upset about was I was afraid that my husband at the time was going to think that I did it on purpose, because he had really instilled this feeling in me that I always had to constantly prove myself. I had to constantly prove that I was trustworthy. And I just had this feeling that he's gonna think that I did this on purpose so that I could take the ring and like secretly sell it or something and hide the I don't know where the logic of this would have gone, but I was actually worried about that and thinking, how am I going to prove to him that I didn't lose the ring on purpose? So anyway, we're looking for the ring for a couple hours, and we finally decide, let's go to a sporting store and buy a metal detector. So we did that. We came back home, and I mean, it had to have been maybe 5 minutes. We found the ring right away. And it had gone, when I swept my hand down like this, I thought that I had pointed my hand out straight, but it had gone just a little bit that way onto the side of the driveway. But we found it right away. And I remember not just being relieved that I found my ring, which was great, but also being really relieved that I now would not have to spend the rest of what I thought at the time, the rest of my life, proving that I didn't lose the ring on purpose. And after we found it, I don't remember his exact words, but my husband at the time said to me something like, "Oh, I'm glad we found it because I was wondering if maybe you lost it on purpose." I mean, he actually said it out loud to me. And I remember when he said that, I thought, I knew it. I'm not crazy. He really was going to think that I did this on purpose, and I really was going to have to spend a whole bunch of time and energy trying to prove that I didn't do it on purpose, which is really so sad because let me tell you, I mean, there were a lot of things that he gave me, that he provided for me, but there was nothing that he had to offer that made living like that worth it. Just living with somebody that doesn't trust you after being together for a couple years, marrying you, and always making you feel like you've got to prove yourself, and always making you feel like no matter how hard you try, you never will be able to prove yourself, and you are never actually going to be trusted. And to get back to the theme of this video, I guarantee you that if we had not found the ring, I don't think at any point would he have ever raised his voice at me or yelled at me or ranted and raved about how I lost the ring on purpose. He would have done so quietly, calmly, with a stern look on his face maybe, or a concerned look about, I don't know, I mean, where did you get that new scarf you're wearing, or whatever, you know, like putting these little digs in of like, ooh, that looks suspicious. Maybe you bought that with the ring money. I don't know. I don't know what would have happened if we had never found the ring, but I would have had to live the following years under this constant cloud of suspicion and not having any way of getting rid of it. And a narcissist that's using these kind of tactics against you, they really don't trust you. This is genuine. They really are suspicious of every little thing you do because they can't believe that anybody could really ever love them. They can't believe that anybody would ever want to be with them, and just to be with them, to be somebody that they can actually trust. And there's a lot of different reasons for this, but part of it is just projection. I mean, they're not somebody that anyone could ever trust. So why would you be? Why would you be telling them the truth? Especially if they have something like money or something like that to offer you, they're never going to be able to trust that you have good intentions, because it's not something that they can understand. And because of their deep pathological shame, it's not something that they ever believe could ever be theirs. And this is not something that you can ever cure them of, just in case you're wondering. Another way that a narcissist can be abusive in a calm way is to be disappointed in a classy kind of way. Maybe disappointed and they just shake their head. Instead of raising their voice and yelling and screaming and accusing you of things, they're just really disappointed. Maybe you tried really, really hard to do something for them. Maybe you spent a couple hours making them a dish, making them dinner, and they sit down to eat it and they look at it and they're like, well, I usually like some vegetables on the side, you know? I mean, I know there's vegetables in the dish, but I usually like vegetables on the side, but I guess it's okay. You know, something like that, where it's like a punch in the gut, where you spent all this time trying to do something special for them, but these people are chronically disappointed. Maybe you're with somebody that decides that they suddenly want to become really athletic, and maybe you're not athletic. Maybe this person suddenly wants to go to the gym every day, and that's just not something that you're into, and they act all disappointed and say, you know, I really just envisioned my life with somebody that could go to the gym with me and share an active lifestyle, but maybe that's just something I'm gonna have to learn to live without. How could you be such a horrible disappointment by being yourself? I guess I'll just have to get used to what a horrible failure you are. Narcissists that use this style of manipulation, that use this cool, calm, and collected persona, really like to keep their hands clean. They will manipulate you and push your buttons until you're the one that loses your cool, or you're the one that does something that you're not proud of. And they can just sit back and point at you, even to themselves. I mean, they're even convincing themselves that you're the one with the problem. They work very hard to create the illusion that you are the failure, you're the disappointment, that they're putting up with you, that you're lucky that they have stuck around as long as they have. And what's ironic about this is how much they can make you feel like you owe them something somehow, like they've done so much for you. But when you really think about it, nothing they've done is actually for you. Almost everything they've done is for themselves. But if it was something they could somehow twist and turn into something they did for you, like the guy I was talking about earlier, you know, used to take me on these really nice vacations. And then later, he point blank told me that he took me on these vacations so that I could experience these things. He did it for me. I mean, I appreciated the vacations, but he was trying to tell me that the only reason he took me on them was so that he could give me the experience of whatever the vacation was, which is really funny because I think he just wanted to be seen with a girl while he went to all these vacation spots that he chose, that he wanted to go. When you really think about it, you've probably done a lot more for the narcissist than they've ever done for you, but they downplay what you've done. They complain about it, they minimize it, they ignore it, while every little thing they've ever done for you, they never stop talking about it, or they never stop complaining about how much they've done for you, or that one time they gave you a ride to the grocery store 3 years ago, remember? They keep you so distracted by this hamster wheel of this endless quest to make them happy or to earn their trust, that you never stop to think that it doesn't go both ways, that the things that you do for them and the things that you tolerate that they do are things that you would never receive in return from them. And you never really get a chance to think about it because you're so preoccupied with all these games that they're constantly playing with you. The point of this video is to help anybody out there that's in this type of relationship to understand that abuse doesn't have to be loud, raging, yelling, violent fights. That narcissistic abuse can be very, very damaging with a very quiet, controlled voice. When I got out of the relationship that I've been talking about in this video, it took me years to understand that I had been emotionally abused. It wasn't until after I actually got into a relationship with somebody that was quite a bit more vocal and angry and ranted and raved all the time. It wasn't until after I figured that out that I was able to go back and see the same patterns of abuse, but just with different styles. And because it took me so long to understand that that was abuse, I wanted to make this video to help anybody that might be in that kind of boat, that emotional abuse comes in all different kinds of styles. It can be cool, calm, and collected, making you doubt yourself, making you feel like a failure, making you feel like this person is awesome and amazing for putting up with someone like you. Or it can be somebody that yells and screams and rants and raves and is just full of anger all the time. But both are very damaging. Both can leave you feeling like you don't deserve love and acceptance and safety. just because of who you are. And that's really the bottom line. No relationship should ever make you feel like you've got to prove things that you can't prove, to make you afraid of what you might be accused of next when you've never done anything to deserve that kind of scrutiny. You deserve somebody that will treat you with the same kindness that you treat them. You deserve somebody that will trust you to the level that you deserve to be trusted. You deserve somebody that makes you feel safe, that makes you feel accepted, and that doesn't leave you wondering, what did I do wrong? Or racking your brain trying to remember if there's something you forgot, or feeling nervous in your own home and actually getting used to that and thinking that it's your fault and that it's your job to constantly earn your right to live in peace, love, and safety. You already deserve peace, love, and safety from the people in your life, just the way you are. If you're looking for a way to support my channel and you've been considering professional therapy, BetterHelp is offering 10% off of your first month of service if you sign up using the link below in my description. And if you sign up using the link below in my description, I'll get a one-time commission, so that'll help me out and it'll help you out as well if that's something that you've been thinking about doing. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.